Thinking of Obama abroad just makes me think of this past summer when I studied abroad. Um, if ever America was mentioned or I knew that we were Americans, many people always had a very positive attitude of Obama, Obama. And he's very in the limelight. Everybody likes him abroad. And I feel that a reason why is because Obama has kind of the same similar mindset as our big players.
Well, the biggest problem facing America in the Middle East today is not the wars or anything like that. It's actually our image in the Middle East and how we're viewed by the Arab Muslims in the Middle East. Because in order to change how they feel about us, we have to change how we're acting towards them.
And for a country like us, which is such a small population, I think it's maybe overreaching, but it also has given us some political gains. So after being a soldier, I saw it with very narrow-minded. I could see that it was cool that we fought with the big brothers and we fought on the front lines. Now I can see the political implications of this because we're backing up the big brother. We are such a small country, but our political influence is much bigger now than it was a decade ago. But I also think that after 10 years of fighting, the most important thing about Obama in the Danish people's mind are definitely that we're pulling out now. Because our economy has been ripped apart by it. Our army has stopped hiring and laying off people because it can't afford it. We've lost, at one point we were the country with the highest loss of men in the war in Afghanistan in accordance to our population.
I know a good thing he's talked about was in these countries that are predominantly Islamic and they're developing, like Egypt and Tunisia with these new governments. He talked about building up women's rights, especially because women under Islam are generally not given the same rights that men are, not nearly to the same degree. And he focused a big part. I've heard him talk about that a lot, focusing on getting women's rights up and to focus on respect for religion. I know I've heard him talk about Egypt too, talking about with the Muslim Brotherhood there and religious freedom for the Coptic Christians there also in Egypt.
I think he will be remembered less for economic policies because I don't think Congress is going to work together. I don't think Republicans and Democrats are going to work. So I don't think any of his programs will last, but I think he will be remembered as a time when Americans actually were progressive. I mean, having a black president in this election, especially, he won based on minority votes, including Asians. He won the Asian vote. He won women and Latino and African Americans. He's the first president to be elected by minorities. I think that's what he's going to be remembered for. The white middle class male was out. He lost the white middle class vote and yet still won.
I think we saw that even in the debates, President Obama was trying to still be, taking a tougher stance against China. I think one of the things that he started to do, it's been in the last few months, and what I think will continue over the next 4 years, is having more of a U.S. military presence in the Asia-Pacific region, especially trying to get more ally support with Australia, Japan, possibly even to that Southeast Asia, looking at Vietnam and some markets there. So I think that's probably where he may be focusing a lot of attention is with China, knowing that a lot of the public demand and the U.S. criticism against China not playing fairly with economic statecraft and things such as that. I think that's one area that we're going to start to see more of a presence is that Asia-Pacific region. It's a business race anymore, and it's not so much worried about safety of nuclear weapons. Now it's about the intelligence and the smarts between the two countries.
Well, his exact decisions, of course, no one can project because you have to react to each particular situation, regardless of where it is. What I see is basically the same kind of foreign policy that we have seen. It has been carried through over various administrations. Some have pursued it more aggressively in the Middle East, such as President Bush, the second President Bush, as well as the first President Bush. It was aggressively, policy was aggressively applied. But again, I think our alliance system in the Middle East will remain basically the same because there have been efforts to maintain it, even during what they call the Arab Spring incidents. I think that probably with regard to Syria, that will either continue and get worse until a particular strong group or a strong leader emerges. Historically, the Middle East has had a dictatorship associated with the military, just like the ones that have been there for many decades.